rock bottom. We're literally rock bottom.
Hi, I'm Gregg Berhalter. You might remember me from such things as Torsten Frings blocking my shot and coaching the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, so they were kind of coming back from like a very bad place. Like, they were just like out of sorts.
And he wants his own three-peat.
Miles Robinson, surprisingly.
Welcome back to the Enemies of the Fire podcast, and this week we get our first taste of Pochettino. We get a little worldly and look around at Nations League, and then we are still riding high on the Gregg Berhalter news, I think. Anyway, that is James. That is DPG. I am FC Neo Tokyo, and gentlemen, this week the U.S. men's national team played 2 games. One went well, and one did not. They won 2-0 against Panama and lost 2-0 against Mexico.
Well, everybody, first off, kick that like button. But let's start with the good. The good was Panama. 2-0. Came in there, and it was exciting. At the very first match of Pochettino, we get to see what he's deploying. We get to see his picks. And we saw, did we see an identity, or are we seeing an identity forming? Is it more like a clump of a meatball, or is this a full plate of spaghetti that we saw?
It's still forming. I like what I saw. I felt that they were more organized. It wasn't more, I think what I saw a lot less was like the panicky passing, like just pass it anywhere. The team felt, look more relaxed, which is always good, more confident, which is always even, it's even better. But I just want to add, the Mexico game, we did not have a full squad. We actually lost a handful of players.
We'll get to those excuses
Okay, I'm just
later.
Let's start with the good here, yeah.
I think to stick with James's analogy, not only is it not prepared, that it may not be butchered yet. If it is, it's in the freezer still. This is so not ready. This dude had 3 hours to talk to these kids.
It's still grazing on the farm.
Go play soccer.
Yeah.
So it was. I gotta be honest.
You gotta compare this to Jesse Marsch, and how much time did he have with Canada to throw them into a tournament at the last second?
He had a month run up, right?
That sounds.
I want to say this.
That's a little bit more time, isn't it?
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Pochettino looked very confident on the bench. This man was shaking hands, all smiles. Great. I'm just hoping that it's, when it comes to work, I'm sure he's hustling these guys, but he didn't look one bit, obviously, he's, first day on the job, he didn't look one bit worried or anything like that. He wasn't scratching his chin.
They were winning.
Yeah.
Well, so, they were winning, but they weren't winning the whole time, man. It was kind of ugly, dude. I felt that game was so boring. I was bored. I was totally bored. But to your point about Poch, I'm gonna say this, man. I feel like he didn't do a ton of coaching this window.
No.
And I think even just his choices of who stayed in camp and who didn't, for him, this was just let me assess where we are. I don't care about the opponent. I don't care about what happens. I don't care about the outcomes. I don't care. Let's just see what's up. Get a baseline of knowledge to go from after that. And honestly, and I just think our talent took over Panama.
One thing I did see, and I always give this guy crap all the time, is Anthony Robinson. First of all, I just want to say this. I'm still not confident of our back line. I think
center back is worse than I thought it was.
So here's the thing, though. Anthony Robinson, I like him. I'm kind of getting on that train with you, Toke. The one thing I did see that I had a feeling that was going to bite us back in the ass. I didn't like how far up ahead was Anthony Robinson was getting. He was going very deep in the attack, and I get it. That's a specialty on
that's his thing, right? But
the problem is if that team hits the counter. Now you got Anthony Robinson trying to track back.
Well, he is one of the fastest players in the Premiership.
That's
that,
true,
right?
but
he is a very quick individual.
But and again, that will lead on to the next game. That's what I'm trying to say.
So I guess more positives. I like James's attitude this week. Let's keep it positive. So the first goal, Yunus Musa, not a super Yunus Musa. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals, but I mean,
a question mark coming in. I mean, admittedly, when he's not getting a lot of time with AC Milan, who he's playing with Christian Pulisic, who assisted the goal to him. But yet Christian Pulisic is the star of AC Milan, and Musa is struggling for playing time. So it had me wondering, I'm like, maybe instead of Chicago Fire going to target McKennie, maybe they target Musa.
I'd rather
keep Musa in Europe.
Well, I mean, obviously for the U.S., right? Like they both need to stay there. But
obviously, yes.
I think the thing about Musa, he's calm on the ball, which I really like, and he's tenacious. But like, no one really knows what to do with this kid, man. Like he's back to Valencia days of getting pushed out to the wing because he was playing out wide. For the most part, I mean, that's where he came from to get the goal, right? He came in on that tap.
The other thing is
that was class.
They were doing things. They were creating a ton on offense. It was 11 shots, 4 on target. So I mean, that's pretty.
Well, Panama ended up with more.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. But still, there was quality to the attack. There was ideas. There was ideas being laid down. They're not being cemented quite yet. They're just in the process of laying down that. And it's still very wet cement in the mold.
I want to add this. I'm not sold on the attack.
I mean, no striker scored, right? So it was.
Yeah, none of the strikers scored, but
Pepe, I don't think Pepe was a penalty, or what was that?
I don't get the hype with Sargent.
No, I'm sorry, striker did score. It was Pepe. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
yes.
I don't get the hype with Sargent.
Nor do I, bro. We are on the same page there.
I'm like, he was
Poch
honestly
saw something and to
I don't
give
know.
him the first go.
I think we're still looking for a striker.
Well, Flo Balogun wasn't there, right? So
yeah, that's the one guy.
Flo's been struggling, man.
That's the thing about Flo. Flo is certainly no Jonathan David.
Oh God.
Oh, geez. What I'm saying is this: like, we need a striker that can score. I don't think it's Josh Sargent is the guy. I don't get the hype behind him.
I mean, he's talented. Don't get talented, it twisted.
But the Panama game, he seemed very indecisive.
It's the first game. It was the first 45
I get
minutes
it.
of Pochettino's
I get it, but I don't get the vibe from Sargent that he's going to be the guy that's going to, score 2 goals.
I did find it odd he started both games, but I will say this, like, right? He started the Mexico game, right?
He started the Mexico game. Yeah.
I thought I was an insane person for a second. So, but I'm not worried about Pochettino's selection that much. I'm not. It is curious. It's curious that he picked Matt Turner too, which he came up with was the double save in this game or was it the Mexico game? See, these things are blending together in my brain.
I think it was this Panama game.
Yes, he had that double save, which that was good.
He blocked once and he blocked. Yeah.
I was pretty bored, and I don't have the streaming service. The this TV deal is the worst for me. I have to watch everything on the Spanish language channels.
But hold on. But you know what? We actually talked about this during the week, and I think you guys made a good point where when we saw this election, and I think after the Mexico game, we brought this back up again. We mentioned that half this roster, the current selection right now, in about a year and a half from now, probably is going to be half of the roster is going to be a bunch of new guys that are.
I mean, I don't know about half, but yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. I said it in the chat. I said a year from now there will be 2 guys that we are like, oh,
there might be more
starters, and we've never heard of them today.
I mean, I'll get into that. I got more about what you guys are talking about, but I think we've almost exhausted the good of this. We saw good ideas. We saw some flashes of players. We didn't see the stars be stars. I don't know if we saw that so much. I mean, Pulisic did get the assist, but it wasn't.
He works hard no matter what. Sometimes he shines, sometimes he doesn't.
I mean, that was the thing. It was a quiet game for Pulisic.
He needs backup. He needs like a partner.
And now,
the thing is, he's killing it. AC Milan on the right. We should put him on the right because I do think I think him and Anthony Robinson don't jive as well as we want them to.
Oh, dude, if
Right?
they jive on the wings, oh my God.
It might
you
be
know how,
better to divide your power and let Anthony
I think so.
too. So
I think you need one more piece in that trio right there. You add one more piece that can match their level or better.
Well, is
I
that
mean, this
Tim
guy-
Weah when healthy? Is that
if he could take the next step.
That's it's hard to tell, man. It might not even be any of those guys. It might be some random, U19 player playing in, Europe.
Tim
right now
Weah
for-
plays like Ronaldo when he puts on the U.S. shirt?
Maybe that's a spot for Brendan Aronson.
Yeah.
Oh no! What did you think of Brendan Aronson? I guess you're talking like we're gonna. Okay, let's just say this: they lost 2-0 to Mexico.
Yeah.
That sucks. So now we're kind of talking about the bad.
So I gotta look at the lineup.
How did you guys feel about Brendan Aronson? Like not even stats, just vibes. How did it feel?
I think he was a little indecisive when I saw him play against Panama, the first half, I guess it was like he was a little bit like out of sorts. Like he was missing passes. He was giving away passes.
Yeah, he wasn't comfortable in it yet.
Yeah, he settled in though. And against Mexico, I think everything just went out the window. Like at that point, we realized we need a better goalkeeper. That Mexico game showed us that we really need a better goalkeeper.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I would agree.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
James,
Go ahead.
what did you think of Matt Turner? Because I think me and DPG are both down on him. See, as a whole, the program, I'm not down. But as far as players, I'm down.
I don't see why there's any reason to not start looking elsewhere.
Well, who else was on the roster?
Doesn't matter. You look elsewhere.
Horvath.
Start the process. Sorry, Matt. It's not his. It's not his anymore.
No.
Start.
No.
Start.
And I think
the process of moving on there.
I think the one position
it's going to be a process. Usually, it's
yeah. No, it's a process. But I think the one position that the USMNT has a lot of depth is goalkeeping.
It's got to be one of these young guns who's got to really step up and assert themselves
that's what it is.
Step up and dominate. We need Gaga to start dominating competition that's better. We need these guys who are out there to start dominating international competition, and looking the part for when they go against international competition.
Well, I'm kind of shocked he started him and played him both games. He didn't give anybody else a sniff, which I did not like personally. Yeah. I was not a fan, I will admit. And I guess now's the time. Well, I was going to say now's the time to mention a bunch of dudes went home.
You could have put Schulte in. You could have put Horvath in.
But you know what?
Do you need to see what do you need to see from Horvath that you haven't already seen?
No, but the first goal. Like I think a more. I don't even want to say more veteran because Matt Turner's like in his 30s already, but. A more prepared goalkeeper would have seen that shot coming from like a mile away. I mean, the fact that
he did get a paw,
he get a touch, but most,
I mean, you might as well put Tim Howard back in there. Just unretire Tim.
I think if you put Tim Howard, he might tip it out. He might tip it out over the bar.
I mean, well, Tim Howard was so disrespected in his day. He was literally top 5 keeper.
Just say Casey Keller too while you're at it. Tell him, hey, stop the comment.
Keller was never as good as Howard or Friedel. And Friedel's like time of being good was like this. Howard
Friedel was good. Friedel was good for like one World Cup cycle, and that's it.
But so we again, Christian Pulisic went home, Jedi went home. Couple cats went home. So
Anthony Robinson stuck around.
Anthony Robinson started.
I'll say the lineup.
Okay.
So Matt Turner started in goalkeeping. So we had Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, Miles Robinson, surprisingly, Joe Scally, or Scaly, whatever you guys call him. And then in the midfield, it was Aiden Morris, Gianluca Busio, Jonas Musa. In front of them was Brendan Aronson, Malik Tillman, and Josh Sargent.
Can I say one thing you just reminded me of?
Miles
Robinson had a bad game and was almost at fault for, oh my God, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Miles Robinson was at fault for that goal, right? That first goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as that happened, like after the game, I proceeded to edit a video where we were all dreaming of Miles Robinson being on the fire.
No.
I just was like, oh man, that
I
aged
think-
like milk.
I don't think Miles Robinson is going to be the guy. I know a lot. Before he
No.
got hurt.
He's be a
He
great
was
player
hyped
for
up.
Chicago Fire, but
Well,
he
no,
might not.
before he got hurt though.
Yeah, before that
People were-
injury, he was
He was.
on a
People were
rocket.
hyping him up. He was, he was playing for Atlanta. People were saying he's going to go to Europe. After he got hurt, it just kind of went downhill. Like, not only in soccer terms, but more or less like in his personal life. Like he got arrested for like, I guess he didn't pay his.
I
his
forgot about
his
that.
bar,
You're right.
yeah. So he didn't pay the $5 for his bar tab.
Yes.
So, and I mean, how is he doing now though? Like in MLS, like is it?
I think it's mixed. I think he's having a solid season, but not like. I mean, I guess we all cringe at it, but apparently Aaron Long is having the season of his career right now in LA.
Oh.
So,
I mean,
but,
I kind of
so
want to
what
think
else
that
about
these guys.
this lineup, James? Did anything about the Mexico game excite you? I mean, there was the fight.
They things got heated, but it was just really disappointing, and it's just like Tim Ream did not do well. Joe Scally.
No.
He's gonna be one of the guys that's gonna be out of here by next year, though. I think he's.
Joe
I think he was
Scally
needed for like his leadership.
Here's the problem: there were so many guys there who, frankly, I think they proved themselves not good enough to be starters. Maybe there's some role players in there, but
Well, granted, Mexico was playing with a full squad.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, how many
Well-
times did they claim they had a B or C squad, and we were like, "Oh, shut up and take your L."
Let's be
You know
honest
what I
here.
mean?
Let's be honest here. Mexico has been going with a full squad for the past 5 years, and they've gotten their asses handed to them by USMNT. This was the only exception. This game was like the first time that the USMNT actually played with a depleted B squad, and Mexico went full gear on their squad. So.
That's true. There's
Yeah,
some
so
truth to
Oh,
that.
which reminds me, a tip of the cap to the enemy,
on.
Andres. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name?
Guardado.
Guardado. He retired from international football after 17,000 games with
Yes, he
the
did.
Mexican national team.
Congrats to him.
Oh man, it was an ugly game. That was also a boring game. I also didn't think like
It
Mexico
was
whooped.
dull.
Mexico did not whoop up on us.
No.
They just were the better team of a boring game.
Matt
was-
Turner, not good enough, right?
Agreed. Not good enough for Matt Turner. Not good enough for Miles Robinson. Not good
Miles
enough for
Robinson
Team
still
Ream.
flashed, at least, still showed some things
I
to
mean,
the point where
fair.
he was the best of that, best of the bad bunch, and certainly clearly still a step above, but nobody else was to his level, and that it's surprising to see that from Tim Ream when he's been such a great partner for him historically.
I mean, I'm not. Are you worried personally? Are you worried about this team? Are you worried about Pochettino?
No.
Exactly.
Well, we'll get more into that. Aiden Morris did not look like he belonged. He was all out of sorts.
Which is troubling for the Aiden Morris fans out there.
He started.
Yeah, and I forgot he even played. That's part of the problem.
Wow. Buzio did not impress.
Which hurts my heart. I'm a John Luca fan, and I would like for that to go better.
And you really would have thought that Musa would have done a little bit more with what he had. I mean, like, Musa also really disappointed. Like, he was not holding down that midfield and by no means imposing his will.
I think what I really think is we're reading a lot into it. I almost feel like Pochettino was like, do X and Y. I don't give a shit what the score is. I don't care what happens. Do X and Y. I don't care if it's not working.
Let's work upon this. We're working
Do
on
it.
this right now tonight.
Do what I want you to do. I don't think he game planned to win the game. I think that was the biggest
that's an interesting point. He didn't game plan to win the game. He game planned to work on
to
things.
practice. He game planned to practice his game plan. He didn't like game plan for the team he was playing.
Interesting.
And which is the biggest flex on the planet that US was like, no, we're just gonna send all our guys home. We don't care about this game. We're working on us. We're doing.
Poch
I'm
is like
doing
you're
me.
sending my couple of my best players. Oh, okay. All right, I'll make it work.
I mean, he look at what he did. He sent the players who were hot home. He sent
Not
guys
Robinson.
who, yeah, true. But I'm saying that he sent guys home
Not Turner.
they're not hot. They weren't doing well. I'm
Not
saying he sent the guys like Pulisic who need to make sure that they're not gone one extra day on an international break and then don't get chosen for a month and a half.
not Sargent, who also struggled in this game.
So I'm a Haji Wright truther. I think Haji Wright is the one who should get the striker position, get the rose.
Weren't you also a Malik Tillman truther?
We're not going to speak about the past.
and we were talking about Brendan Erickson. I mean, like, against Panama, I thought he was doing all right, but against Mexico, he did squadoosh.
Well, I mean, a high motor guy like that can end up doing he could end up doing a lot, or he could end up doing a lot without doing anything. And we kind of got the latter.
Christopher Lund.
Who? Right? You know what I mean?
He came in and he was slashing. He was doing stuff, I thought. Zendaja.
We need Serginho Dest.
Alejandro Zendejas.
I mean, God, he got clowned. I saw a tweet. Somebody was like, how are they going to let Mexico do that to the only guy who was playing with passion?
He was apparently one of the best players for America that night.
He had the most oomph to him. Yeah, he was the only one that looked like he realized it was a rivalry.
Brandon Vasquez made an appearance.
God, I didn't even remember that. Actually, I think
he did okay. He did okay, but they didn't do much, even with him on there. And Haji Wright did come out there, also kind of not much, but did all right. Same with Tanner Tessman. The tale is they did a lot. The substitutes did a lot better than the starters,
which I don't hate. It just, again, it was a huge. It turned out to be a huge flex.
But by then it was too late. Yeah.
I mean, think about any other coach who has taken this job, even Jurgen Klinsmann, because the microscope was on him. If he took the job and had to play Mexico right away, he would have had to say how big of a deal it was. He would have had to try really hard to win the game. He would have really cared. Anybody would have really cared about it. Like, look at Casey Keller. We brought him up earlier. He is losing his fucking mind because we didn't care that we didn't want to beat Mexico so badly. Pochettino really just, I think, showed up and said, whatever, man, we're going to do us.
You don't think he got out-coached by the Mexican manager?
I don't. I don't think he was coaching.
Javier Aguirre. I
think this is more or less
put out, I think, a great game plan. You missed
Javier
this.
Aguirre.
You missed this, though. But Toke's argument was that Pochettino was not treating this like a regular game. He was treating it like a practice of sorts. Things to practice his philosophy, practice his ideas.
So I think Pochettino was just kind of using this as a measuring stick, see where everybody's at. At the same time, he probably took the opportunity to see where we need other players to step up. Like we're all in agreement that Tim Ream might not be here next year. If he is,
and I wouldn't say that's his fault.
No, it's just you can't beat Father Time,
right? You know? It's like when you see an old person at a job and you're just like, but you have a bunch of money in the bank, right? Yeah. Retire, go home.
I have a question though, boys. Does the national team have anybody like Raul Jimenez?
I mean, these guys are so young. Balogun could still be that guy. I mean, Josh Sargent could still end up that guy. Haji Wright could end up that guy. It's just they're not there yet.
I think in terms of like player to player, we also have to take into consideration that the USMNT roster is probably a lot deeper in terms of having players in Europe than Mexico's is. Like, as crazy as it sounds, probably in the first time in a generation where we get to see that. Because I think it's weird how things have kind of shaped up in the Concacaf where the USMNT, a lot of their players are playing in Europe. Now Mexico, like roughly half their players are in Europe. And then the rest are just Liga MX, So,
I have a question about Liga MX real quick, and I don't want to get too sidetracked.
Yeah.
This is my ignorant question. Again, I have to watch every U.S. game because for whatever reason on the Spanish language channel. So they had an ad for their Liga MX package and who's like the games coming up that weekend.
Yeah.
The stadiums look half empty in the background of every clip. And it's like, is it struggling or is it just some idiot intern made like the worst commercial ever?
Probably a combination of both. When I say combination of both, and this is something I kind of known about for a few months is, Liga MX, they got rid of relegation. Like they said,
oh yeah,
our second division teams cannot financially support themselves to compete in a first division setting, meaning they don't have adequate stadiums, adequate, forms, I guess, transportation or
they
paying their players.
Paid. Yeah.
So they kind of went, and it's weird because they kind of went to the MLS route where they just cut off second division, and they have this weird setup where it's cut off for a couple of years. It's not like a permanent thing as of yet, but I guess as of yet, because I think every league in the world wants to be like MLS now. But so what they're doing is whoever finishes last has to pay like a sum amount, like I don't know, I think it's 7 or 9 million, and they use that money. So hold on. So they use that money kind of as a way of saying we're saving this money. So when we do kick back
they're gonna
up,
set up their parachute payments.
So when we do kick back up relegation, there's money in the bank to support these struggling second division teams that might come from like a 5K or 10K stadium and be able to compete with the big boys.
Well, thank you. I had no idea, actually.
I heard about that. I'm like, wait, so how is this not like some form of corruption? Like, there's gonna be a lot more hands.
It will be. Don't worry. God, you guys remember the days of Jack Warner?
Oh my God, Mister, we're gonna get Trinidad and Tobago to a World Cup, and then I'm gonna sell the World Cup tickets to. Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway, so I don't know. Have we beaten the dead horse? How James? You're okay. I asked you how you feel.
Well, now all right, now we'll get into the overarching. It's overarching. I feel okay still going forward. This is the first flash in the pan, and I know we're not going to beat everybody under the moon, but what I want to see here in the next few months is something that is working. Something that is getting wins against Mexico. Something that is putting to bed the ones that should easily be put to bed and asserting their dominance. And then when it comes to playing a team like Brazil, to playing a team like Argentina, able to compete. Hang in there like the old USA teams of old, who used to be able to compete just on pure athleticism and grit sometimes.
The grit and the power of friendship. They were able
to the power of friendship.
So
go ahead. How do you feel, DPG? How do you feel?
So I think this is Pochettino's second game. I think where we're at now to where we will be in about 2 years or so, it's going to be completely different. We might have guys that might step up and kind of take over some of the roles that we're currently right now. We feel that's lacking. There might be someone that might take over for Tim Ream's role right now. There might be someone that might, you might find people that will plug in those holes in the back line. You might even find people.
Fingers crossed that, I don't know if he didn't rate CCV or not, but fingers crossed, man, that Mark McKenzie continues to develop, or you know what I mean? All sorts of things. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, even by the way, I did like Mark McKenzie. How he played good. I like that.
I've been a big fan of that kid, even when he gave up that goal in the first 30 seconds of that Nations League final. He came back and continued to have a good game. He didn't, it didn't turn into an absolute disaster.
Yeah, so
how do you guys feel about Christian Pulisic being pulled by Milan back to Italy and basically having to miss this game?
I love it.
I think it was a smart move.
Yeah, nothing matters for us until literally the first game of the World Cup. We crashed out at Copa America, so nothing matters. So honestly, Christian Pulisic being the big dick in town in AC Milan is way more important than playing Mexico in a friendly.
Well,
And the thing too, another thing too is like this game was gonna be physical. Like if you would have had the full squad there, Pulisic, I don't know who else left, McKenna. It was gonna be physical. You don't want those guys to go back to AC Milan banged up or go back to their respective clubs injured.
Yeah, you don't want to interrupt this campaign that they're having.
No,
Robinson,
especially
they risked him.
You got to keep somebody, man, and that's the thing is he might not play for Fulham again that many more times because there is word that Manchester United is hot on the tail. Liverpool again is back in the conversation.
Some higher clubs, interesting.
Oh my God, yeah, he is the highest rated left back in the English Premier League this season.
Wow, that's interesting. Well,
but I'm gonna say this. I will say this. Aren't you afraid that Manchester United might ruin him, though?
You know, he's one of those guys that even if he did have a down year in Man U or like it was just a toxic environment, he'd be that one that they could like bounce back and sell quickly to another team, and then he'd just be right back on track. You know what I mean? He wouldn't turn into like a Martial where he would just sit there for year after year after year.
Back to there were apparently a lot of fans frustrated though with Pulisic leaving and McKennie leaving and all these guys. So they were letting their frustrations know to the point where Tim Howard had to step forward and say that fans have every right to be frustrated with Christian Pulisic leaving the national team ahead of the Mexico match to manage his workload and rejoin with AC Milan. Pulisic is our biggest player, our best player, and this was no normal U.S. men's national team camp. It marked the start of Pochettino's reign and the countdown to the 2026 World Cup. No one can question his commitment to the U.S. men's national team, and no one can deny that he needs to look after his body. But even if he's not playing, he should still be there to create the culture and set an example. I've been a senior player and a big personality in that locker room before. I've demanded a lot of people, and what have I found? The moments to show your gravitas, tend to come off of the pitch. There were times when I was injured or on the bench. I had 100 odd caps by then, but I would still carry the water. I'd pick up the kits off the locker room floor while players were making their second or third appearances were in the shower. They were the small gestures that carried an important message. When we're in deep, I'm demanding something of you. It's nothing I would not do myself. Well, that's what makes a good leader, and that's why you build trust with culture. And culture, not by leaving camp, but by supporting the team with words and actions. But at some point, Pochettino, Pulisic, and the U.S. Federation have to flex their muscles and tell Milan, this is how it's going to go down. We need Christian to play or just be around.
So hold on.
From Tim Howard.
I get where Tim Howard's coming from. You know, again, locker room leader. Here's the thing, though. That's a little short-sighted. Let's say, theoretically speaking, Pulisic would have played last night. Let's say McKinney would have played last night. What's not to say that? What if they, because things got heated between Mexico and the USMNT players. What's not to say that one of them wouldn't injured Pulisic, and then all of a sudden we don't have him for the league or red card. We don't have him for the Nations League. We still have a tournament to win. Keep in mind, there's games in November. USA is playing Jamaica.
That's when I'll care. Dude, it's a friendly against Mexico. I know we used to have to care, but it's it's two teams licking their wounds. Mexico's just bad, and we have a new coach. So let us just Pochettino knows Christian Pulisic is his best player.
Yeah.
Pochettino knows exactly who Pulisic is because even if he hasn't coached him, which I don't even know if he has or hasn't, he's got tape on him because he's played him. You know what I mean? He knows Christian Pulisic. He needs to learn nothing. So there is no reason. If Milan wants him, let him have him because then you flex your muscle when you really need it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So here's another thing too, though, is if it's all about retribution, if they're, if Tim Howard's upset that, Pulisic didn't stick around for the Mexico game, if all these fans are pissed off because Pulisic left, if they want their retribution, they can have it in the Nations League final when chances are we're probably going to face Mexico
I think
again.
we play them in the semi-final.
Or in the semis, and that's going to be a much more meaningful game than this friendly. Like, if you want payback, if you really want to make it, because trust me, people will remember the USMNT getting rid of Mexico in the semifinals than they are of
This friendly.
Mexico beating US in a friendly.
2-0 in a friendly.
And which one? One of them stings a lot more. One of them will sting a lot more.
Oh,
and you know who's going to sting a lot more is if we don't get to break here. We'll be right back. Make sure you guys take a look at that like button. Poke them for everybody here. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. We are here to talk about a tournament everybody loves. I grew up watching. It's within my blood and veins, and I don't know. It's the cash grab that's known as Nations League. Now,
It's
James
not a
here.
cash grab.
James and I don't know. James, do you root for a second country beyond the USMNT?
Poland.
Okay. So I don't really ever care about what the Czech Republic is doing. But DPG here embraces his Honduran ancestry and tends to pay attention to the team a lot more than we do. So I want to hear what happened last night.
Okay, so again, and there's a reason why I root for Honduras, because with Honduras, it's for me at least, they're the underdogs. They were like the first team that I watched as a kid that kind of got me involved in soccer. This is kind of like the dad and son situation where my dad will take me to watch Honduras. USA, I expect excellence from US. That's USMNT again. I like both equally. One's an underdog for me, and then the other one is excellence. Like I expect excellence from US. So going back to Honduras. Okay, so Honduras played against Jamaica. They're playing in Kingston, not an easy place to play.
No, not an easy place.
Not an easy place.
What do they call
The Office.
The Reggae Boys.
The Office. The Office.
The Office. So, Honduras.
There's a bar up the street from where I work called The Office. Anyway, go ahead.
There's a show called The Office too. Anyways, Honduras, compared to how they played against Jamaica and Tegucigalpa a few weeks ago, played much better. I think they're kind of getting back into rhythm compared to what they were a few years ago, where they were kind of rock bottom in the hex. But now it kind of seems like pieces are coming together. Again, I don't think this team is anything special. Compared to how we were 15 years ago. So they walked into Kingston needing a draw or a win, and against a really tough Jamaican team that has really grown in the past 5 years.
Was it really full strength? Was it a full strength Jamaican team, or?
I think they're missing a few.
Andre Blake's in goal. They have Campbell, McGee, Damari Gray, Mikhail Antonio up top playing striker. Lapid Duboisier in the midfield.
Very good.
Lapid Duboisier. Palmer, Holgate,
you got Pinnock,
Lembekisa, and Lee.
So they actually walked out of Kingston with a draw.
Brian Acosta.
What? Wait. What kind of draw? What was the score?
0-0.
Okay. Oh,
it was. So, granted, Honduras did look like they had a couple of good chances to score. For whatever reason, our striker just had the night off. He just didn't fucking finish. But fine. I guess I'm satisfied with that. Honduras is not going to play until next year. Well, scratch that. Honduras is not going to play until next month against Mexico.
Oh, Honduras drew Mexico. Unfortunate.
So, well, I don't know how unfortunate that is. So keep in mind, the last time Honduras drew Mexico was a few years ago. I think that was the controversial one that I kind of went on a rant.
Oh yeah.
So they won 2-0 in Tegucigalpa, then they lost 2-0 in Mexico, and then they lost in penalties. So again, same setup again. They're gonna play in, first they're gonna play in Honduras, then they're gonna play in Mexico. How confident I am? For whatever reason, when Honduras plays Mexico and Honduras becomes like possessed. Like they actually
09 Barcelona.
Yeah, they just start, everything starts clicking. To a point, and it's funny because it's kind of like I've seen this routine a million times where the Mexican press, the Mexican, sports, certain commentators, they'll kind of hype this up. They're like, oh yeah, Honduras is gonna be another walk in the park.
Only second place to the English press, by the way.
Yeah, but then when they lose against Honduras, it's like they start losing it. They're like, oh my God, we're bad, we're horrible, fire the coach, then whole 9 yards. Granted, they do the exact same thing when they lose against the U.S. Anyways, so that's happening in November. I'm excited about that.
Sick.
Another interesting game, which kind of has a little bit of a tie-in with the Chicago Fire.
Oh.
So Guatemala. I'll save that one. Actually, this other one actually had a slight tie-in with Chicago Fire. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was coached by one of our old former head coaches, Ezre
Hendrickson.
And they went on to beat El Salvador.
And that is like a massive upset. People hear El Salvador and they just think they think about their economy size. El Salvador is just outside of the hex looking in, right? They're not bad and they're getting better.
So El Salvador right now is a mixed bag. They're not they haven't gotten back to that level they once were. And I'm going to sound really old saying this, but they're not back to that level they once were, like in the early 80s, like 70s. It's
Pescadito and
not
and
even
Marco
Viviana. I'm talking about like Matt. The guy they had this one really good player that could have probably been one of the best in the world. They called him Magico Gonzalez. But they haven't really, like, you can even say since the 90s, since they used to have like Ronald Cerritos and Cienfuegos and Raúl Diaz Arce. Like they haven't really gotten to that level yet, or back to that level. And
I mean their best players are rolled on right now, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's it. I don't even think he got called up, or he's avoiding the call up. So right now they're like a mix. They're like very, I guess I don't want to say bad, but they're not doing so good.
Well,
they ended up losing.
I think they've gotten a little bit better. I think they've already hit rock bottom, unless this is it. I mean,
I think this was like it, because I'm not to take away anything from St. Vincent, but it's not it's not Jamaica.
No, they're like
not,
they're very close to the bottom of the FIFA rankings.
Yeah. So I actually had a chance to kind of like listen to the El Salvadorian commentators, and they were like losing it. They were like fired the head coach, like they were going crazy. And then I don't blame him. So that was one game. And again, congrats to Ezre Hendrickson on getting a win, a historical win.
Would it be two wins too? I mean, like looks like he won the 13th, and he also won on the 10th.
Who did they play?
So on October, let me see this again. Wait, I lost it. So
let me see.
St. Vincent played Thursday, October 10th, and lost to El Salvador 3-2.
Oh, and then they beat El Salvador in El Salvador.
And then match day 4 of 6, they beat El Salvador 2-1.
Ah, okay. So they still lost the tie, but they got a win, which is a big deal.
Right.
Which, you know what? Hey, good on them. So wait, who was the other game? Guatemala.
So Guatemala and El Salvador. So
not El Salvador. Wait.
No, sorry, Guatemala and Costa Rica.
Okay.
So there was kind of a little bit of hype going for this game. Like, again, Central American press kind of hyping us up a little because Guatemala was like, they were in first place on the group. They had 2 points over Costa Rica. All they really needed to do was basically park the bus or win.
How do you park
and-
the bus against a force known as Francisco Calvo?
Oh my God! I don't even know. I don't even know. That Costa Rica is one of those weird teams that, and keep in mind, Costa Rica was coming from a 1-1 draw with Suriname. So so they were kind of coming back from like a very bad place. Like they were just like out of sorts. And it got to a point where people were saying, "Oh yeah, Guatemala is gonna like walk into Costa Rica and eliminate them." Like they were like hyping it out like that. Like, and Guatemala didn't look bad. Like it. Well, I mean, prior to this game, they didn't look bad. They have a good head coach who happened to actually coach Mexico before. And he actually coached a couple of La Liga MX teams. So he has I think everybody is in agreement that Guatemala has a good head coach. The problem is the quality of players. Like it's not like, they have half their squad playing in Europe on top leagues. They have a couple of players, a handful of players, some former USMNT players like Ruben Rubin, Aaron Herrera.
Oh, no way.
So, and they even have that one cat. Oh, what the hell's his name? He plays in the not in the Premier League. He plays like in the Championship. Something Lang. I forgot his name. So they kind of have a good.
They got something. They're cooking on. They're doing something.
I think they already hit their limit, and like they hit their limit as of right now. What they have.
Their limit was Costa Rica.
So it looked like, hey, you know what? Guatemala might actually, make a statement like, hey, this is our time. So they walk in the nice. By the way, Costa Rica has a nice stadium. For those of you guys haven't seen it before, so they walk in this stadium. It's raining, ironically, and Costa Rica freaking scores early. They score like in the 9th minute off a counterattack. Like out of nowhere, Guatemala looks like they don't know how to play soccer. Like that's how bad it was. Like they just lost it. They don't know how to play soccer.
That's the difference between people like players under pressure and players not. Because when the big moments come, you know what I mean.
And that's crazy because I've seen this before happen with Costa Rica when they are under pressure, they tend to exceed expectations. So they scored their first goal, they scored their second goal, and guess what? The third goal comes in, and guess who scored it?
The Francisco Calvo. James, do you miss him yet? Do you miss Francisco Calvo?
No.
I don't miss his I don't miss his defending. I don't miss him ball watching. It was weird because the man could play his ass off for Costa Rica, but when he played for the Fire, it was like he was a liability. Like we were complaining about him. I remember complaining about him, like, oh my God, this guy, you put him on the lineup, he's a liability.
It's like he sold his soul to the devil. That anytime he put the Costa Rica kid on, he plays like Virgil van Dijk.
Exactly. He just fucking transforms, So Costa Rica walks away with a 3-0. Guatemala walks away with scratching their heads and going back to the drawing board. And I hope they don't fire the head coach because it's not the head coach's fault. It's just the quality of players. You guys are not producing quality players. You guys are not sending players to Europe. That's why you're in this situation. If you keep sending players to Europe, something might happen.
Well, does anybody scout the Guatemalan league?
Well, if they could qualify for youth tournaments, they would. But you can't have one without the other.
So where are we in? Where are we in Nations League?
So Nations League itself has become like this weird, confusing, like tournament because now it's used as a qualifier for the Gold Cup.
Oh man, I've already lost interest.
Yeah, so the teams that win their quarterfinals automatically qualify for the Gold Cup when it used to be like
its own qualifying.
Yeah,
which used to be lit. By the way.
So now the teams that win at the quarterfinals go to the Gold Cup. And the losers from the quarterfinals, they go into like this whole super playoff system where I guess somehow the winners of that playoff system will go on to the Gold Cup. So they're adding playoff after playoff. Like I guess one playoff is not enough for the excitement. But so these are the teams that are facing each other. So Costa Rica is going to face Panama, which
Okay.
again, that's fireworks right there.
Yeah.
We talked about Honduras facing Mexico. Hey, bring on the everybody's favorite team in Concacaf, quote unquote. Let's see. U.S. is facing Jamaica.
Oh no! Oh no!
Wait.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
I am
USA,
right.
Jamaica, Honduras,
who's the
Mexico,
last?
Suriname
Costa Rica, Panama
versus Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Oh.
So
and Costa Rica versus Panama.
Don't sleep on Suriname.
No.
As crazy as it sounds, a lot of their players play in the Dutch league. They play in
there's for reasons.
Yeah, so they play in the Dutch league. They play either in the first or second division of the Dutch league, which is still something. I mean, second division, the Dutch league is probably better than first division in any Central American team, in any Central American league. So, again, don't sleep on Suriname. I think Suriname might be one of those teams in the World Cup qualifiers because I know you guys are not going to watch the World Cup qualifiers.
They have a player his name's Dick Steele.
Yes.
Anthony Dick Steele.
Hell yeah! I love every second of this.
So if he scores a goal, how's that gonna go?
Oh my gosh, he's a legend. He's a legend.
He already. Okay,
it's
so hold on.
It's in.
Dick Steele puts it in. It's across the line, and Dick Steele's done it.
The English accent made that perfect.
Oh yeah.
Dick Steele hardens up. He comes in for the tackle.
I'm gonna veer us off track here.
Oh, Dick Steele just slapped him in the face. It's unheard of.
That's the best.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, we're gonna have too much fun with that.
So DPG, you were saying the Central American leagues. You know, you kind of were sizing them up against the Netherlands. Did you guys hear the big news?
What's the big news?
That Major League Soccer has moved up in the rankings to 9th in the world. Do you believe that Major League Soccer is the 9th best league? Actually, why don't I just go through the top 20 for you guys? You guys ready for this? You guys all ready for this?
Hold on, I gotta for USA.
Yep.
Golf clap.
MLS.
Right. The English Premier League, the Italian Serie A, the German Bundesliga. 4th is the Spanish La Liga. Wow. 5th is the Ligue 1. 6th is the Brazilian Serie A. 7th is Portugal. 8th is the Belgian Pro League. 9th is the US MLS.
USA.
10th.
USA.
10th is the Championship in England.
Whoa!
So I want to add on. This is top 10 right now. I just want to add on that a lot of those leagues, like the Spanish, the Bundesliga, I think the Bayern Munich basically makes the Bundesliga. Like let's put our cards on the table. I mean, not last season, but every season before that, it's been all Bayern. La Liga, it's always a dogfight between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Let's be honest here. That's always been a dog.
But just 10 years ago, La Liga, there was was La Liga the best league in the world? England, is it La Liga?
The reason being is
dropped down to 4. That's what's so crazy. Below Bundesliga and Serie A in second. That's just surprising.
Well, I think
Serie A's had a resurgence, man. Do you remember back in the day, like way back in the day, when it was Fat Ronaldo and everybody and their brother played in Serie A?
Everybody played in Serie A. Like the quality wasn't there anymore.
1-0 everywhere.
It was defense galore. Everybody had the best goalkeeper.
So Brazilian Serie A is in 6th, behind Ligue 1.
Do you want to argue that? Do you want to argue that?
It's hard to, but I don't watch a lot. Like I watched one game last season.
I don't watch
was like,
a lot
oh my god,
either.
Hulk is on the team.
I don't watch a lot either, but let's be real here.
Belgian Pro League, boys.
Neymar had to come out of somewhere.
Belgian Pro League, though. Not Netherlands. Yes. Belgian Pro League.
That's shocking how far the Dutch have fallen. But
the Dutch haven't been the same like in the past 10 years. I think they have really fallen off. Because at least, PSV, and and Ajax will actually give you some competition in the Champions League. Now it's.
You're right. So
That
Belgium. But here's the. Can I say something about Belgium?
What's up?
Also, I didn't think they were that good, but also their league was that good. But I'll put it this way. So that means Hugo Kuipers took a step back.
Whoa!
Coming to Chicago.
Is that really? I mean, he could have gone. He could have done a lot worse.
Yeah, the thing is, you don't count the marketing value. Like, you don't get the fucking. If you're big in MLS, you kind of have a bigger audience of English Premier League teams than you do playing in Belgium. You really actually do.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome for MLS. I got another little bit of MLS news before we finish this segment. It's one about a little fight that happened a long time ago, and apparently the details
piece of shit.
The details have been released.
It's been leaking out slowly. Out slowly.
Well, just to add on to it, let's just say two of these guys ended up playing in the MLS.
Okay, fair.
That's true.
Later, so that's the MLS connection. They later on in their careers, quote unquote, they went on to play in the MLS, but they had history.
Like, every name in this story is amazing. James, who dropped the T?
All right, so former AC Milan striker Alexandre Pato opened up about the infamous fight between Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
You forgot to mention that he's a former Orlando City player too, right?
Oh, I forgot he played for Orlando.
And
just wanted
the infamous fight between Zlatan Ibrahimovic and former U.S. men's national team defender Oguchi Onyewu. Let me tell you in detail.
Gooch. His name was Gooch. They nicknamed Gooch.
So this is Alexandre Pato's words. Let me tell you in detail. So we went to play a little game, like 5v5.
Wait, Pato is Brazilian.
Yeah, what is that?
Rasputin.
That was Italian.
I know. Yeah, Pato's Brazilian, bro. Come on.
All right. Onyewu is a big defender.
Close.
No,
close.
I'm not good at Brazilian accent. I got fallen in my head. I'm thinking CSGO.
Yeah, how's your Portuguese?
Portuguese. Cristiano. Onyewu.
Cristiano.
Onyewu is big defender. No, I can't do it.
No. Just read.
Just let me read this. Onyewu.
You guys want to listen to this?
All right, let's rewind. So we went to play a little game, like 5v5. Onyewu is a big defender. Ibra had the ball, so he went to mark him. Then Onyewu unintentionally hit him. Bam! The thing is, Ibra's foot is huge, so it's very hard to tackle without hitting it. We knew it to be no malice. Onyewu was just coming from an injury and starting to train again. He controlled the ball with his back to Ibra. Then Ibra went in with both feet on Onyewu, really trying to hurt him.
Your first mistake, bro.
They both clattered to the ground. Onyewu got up calmly. He was really nice about it, with a heart of gold. Ibra is more repulsive, like an ogre. He got up immediately and started insulting him. Ibra was cursing in Swedish. Words we didn't really understand what he was saying. He tried to grab Oguchi Onyewu like this by the collarbone and tried to throw him to the ground once. But what did Onyewu do? Well, he surprised us all. He grabbed Ibra and bam, threw him down and bam, threw him down instead. Like it was easy for Onyewu.
Broke his fucking shoulder too, I think.
Like it was easy for Onyewu, like drinking a glass of water. Imagine Ibra. That guy is huge. 6 foot huge. But Onyewu grabbed him and threw him down to the ground easily. He then jumped on top of him, pinned him down, and raised his arm. And when he did that, I said to him, "Stop, my God, stop, you're gonna kill him." And if we didn't break it up, I don't know what would have happened to Ibra.
Okay, so this is a case of this was a excellent case study of F around and find out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, for the listener who doesn't remember the greatness that was Oguchi Onyewu, he was a gigantic human being.
Yes, he was a tall of a man.
Yes, and I mean, he was a mountain of a human being.
There you go.
And I know Zlatan is pretty ripped up and got some, he's got some moves. But yeah, dude, Onyewu
Oguchi's
slammed him to the
6'4".
ground.
Yeah, it's like in that context, it was kind of like Zlatan trying to pick up a car. It wasn't
Zlatan's
gonna
got
happen.
an inch on him. 1 inch, 6'5".
Yeah,
He's got the height, but he don't.
Yeah, he ain't got
Zlatan
the.
is like lean ripped. Onyewu is a
It was
big
all
man.
muscle. He was a walking muscle, bro.
He's more like Khalil Mack. So it's no
there you go.
surprise.
Oh,
So it's no
yeah.
surprise that he was able to just steamroll Ibrahimovic like he's Blake Bortles.
I could have just seen it. Can you imagine seeing that? Like, Ibra just trying to grab him, like, hey, he's not moving.
Yeah, I know.
Oguchi's like, I played football, yo. The real football.
The details of this have been leaking out like a drip drab, like to where Zlatan mentioned something a couple of years ago about like, yeah, I shouldn't have messed with him. Kind of thing.
That's why I brought up that meme. I don't know if you guys ever had a chance. There's a meme that's going. Well, it's a Simpson meme where it says stop, he's already dead. That's what I pictured, like Pato just going stop, you're gonna kill him.
The idea of Pato being the one freaking out, like, oh my god, he's gonna kill him, is pretty great. Like, all of this is great.
Oh
right?
man!
And
really,
stop.
what sucks?
Oh, sorry.
What sucks is it derailed his AC Milan time there, really, because it
sounds like he was acting like a bit of a prick.
Well,
it's
not Ibra. I'm talking about Ibra, not Gucci.
No, Ibra
No.
was being a douche, and a lot of times he can back it up, so he can do that.
Yeah.
But he ran into the guy.
The one guy he
found out, like you said.
Zlatan's like Oguchi's the one man. Zlatan does not talk like Zlatan too.
But yeah, for real. And like Zlatan, Gooch will not talk about it. Like,
you know what?
he's
Honorable
been
man.
like, I've seen him on his own podcast. I've seen him on like the
I hope he gets
Talking
Zlatan
Head
on.
shows.
I hope he gets
And
Zlatan
anytime
on.
they say it, somebody brings it up, he just kind of.
They gotta get Zlatan.
But you know what? Gooch is actually he's a nice guy. He's a nice person. All power to him because I think, let's be honest, if any of us three here got in a situation like that with Zlatan, we'd probably be bragging it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh my god! If I was like a retired player, I'd be like, yeah, I stomped that motherfucker.
but keep in mind, hey, Gooch being the nice guy he is, he doesn't hype it up.
Gooch,
Good for him.
Also Gooch has got aspirations, man. He got him that nice fancy USA job. So he's in the boardroom. He's in the boardroom now. He doesn't want to. Yeah,
he has an image to keep.
But no, he worked a Zlatan, which not many people can say. But
I
anyway,
think that might have derailed Pato's career because he might have been traumatized.
PTSD every time he stepped on the field. Anyway, if you guys don't want us to send Oguchi Onyewu after you, stick around for the next segment where the glow is still here. Like, we're trying to win tickets to a press conference for Gregg Berhalter.
Talk about Chicago Fire. We got some more exciting stuff that we'll be talking about, what to expect when you're expecting. Before we go over there, I please ask you to stomp that like button, tackle it like it's Ibrahimovic, and you are Oguchi Onyewu. Dominate it. We'll see you on the flip side.
Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. We are here speaking about the Chicago Fire, which is the thing that we like to come in here and do. And as of for a second week in a row, we're not going to do a ton of complaining. Gentlemen, is the glow still happening? Are we still so excited about Berhalter?
Well, let me toss a little water in this glow to start off with. All right, what place are the Chicago Fire, guys?
Last place.
All right, so it doesn't fucking matter. So let's throw it out now. Let's get the bad. That's the bad out of the way. What's the good? The good is that Triple G is here, and he's finally gonna have his first match. He's gonna be able to take a look at the entire roster, top to bottom, this last week and a half, and he's making adjudications. He's like, nope, gone, nope, gone, yes, nope, gone. Yeah, and that's what he's doing. And with this last game, we're gonna be seeing that. What do you guys expect when we're expecting from Triple G?
So
I mean, I don't think he's gonna influence anything. I think he's just gonna let it play out the Frank Klopas way.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Frank's gonna be on the bench at all?
Yeah, Gregg Berhalter isn't coaching. He's gonna be in the stands, dog. Well, in the box.
So Frank's gonna be coaching?
Yes.
Frank's gonna be coaching, but
correct.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
He was so excited.
I know. Hold on. Here's the thing.
Hey, this is a big test though for Frank, because if Triple G gave him instructions, if he doesn't follow those instructions, he's out.
Man, no. Frank, Triple G is just gonna let Frank do Frank stuff, and that's it. Tomorrow's his last game. Well, tomorrow, Saturday's gonna be his last game, and that's it. Right? And let's be honest,
Saturday
here, guys.
at 5 p.m. Central.
Let's be honest, guys. I think, and we always say this every year, we're looking forward for the off season. That's all that matters. We're looking forward till Monday morning after the last game of the season for the Fire.
No, you're not. You're looking at the day after MLS Cup. That's the day after MLS Cup is the first time you can make moves.
Okay, but I want you to tell me what your inside man told you.
No, I mean, there's going to be a lot of moves, supposedly.
Guys, this is the most I have been looking forward to an actual offseason with the Chicago Fire in the last over 10 years. This is the most excited I've ever been, because it's not Nelson at the wheel. It's not Garrick Heights at the wheel. It's not Pano at the wheel. It's not Wiki at the wheel. It's not Ezra Hendrickson at the wheel. It's not even Klopas at the wheel. Finally, it's Triple G at the wheel, a man who knows how to pick some talent, a man who can get some talent here. I am so excited about the potential of this offseason. Yes, we talked about disappointment of would it be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs next year? I think a little bit, yes, but especially with the nuances of MLS, but I'd be forgiving, but still I am so excited about this project.
I was this excited going into this past offseason, and then they held on to Klopas and Heights, and that went out the window. I'm excited. It's just going to be different. I don't necessarily have a ton of faith that we're going to start being like a hardcore team, but I mean, it's possible. We're not going to.
We should attract better.
We're not going to come out the gate. We're not going to come out the gate.
How long has Toronto been the actual Chicago of the Midwest? Toronto, other teams have been what Chicago should be for the longest time in MLS, and I'm feeling like finally with Triple G, Chicago's going to be Chicago. It's going to be the third biggest city. It's going to be the third biggest metropolitan and market in America, and for soccer. And finally, it's going to be treated as such by the MLS community.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm excited, but something you don't think about: the league is pushing us finally. For a long time, Don Garber really felt like he kind of wished we would just contract and there wasn't a team in Chicago. Yep. And now that we hired Berhalter, it's all they're rock solid for us.
Granted, he let us hire Gregg Berhalter.
You're right. He did. The envelope opened and it said it was okay.
Yeah, it was between us and San Jose. we won the raffle.
The Garber raffle.
We finally won a Garber raffle. Now, before we get into off-season talk too much, there's a game. And we always talk about who's going. James, you going to this game?
No.
Do you have any desire to go to this game?
Oh, I do. But less now that Frank's not. Now that Frank's coaching and Triple G's just observing, I could observe from afar, just like Triple G.
I feel so bad for you, man. Like he was so excited.
You want tickets, bro? I got 2 tickets that they gave me for free. If you're interested,
I thought I might have something going on Saturday. I thought I had something going on, but I am. vaguely interested. The most I've been interested about going to the Soldier Field since earlier in the season when it was one of our first games that we went. That was so awesome.
That was actually it. It would be full circle. The only time all three of us have gone to the game was the first game.
Yeah,
the first home game of the
that was a
season.
blast too. See, I love seeing the little fire, everything. And tailgating with you guys. It's always, I love that. It's a blast.
Yeah, I will definitely be there. DPG, you're bringing the little one. So
yeah, I'm bringing the little one. It's an early game, so
I'm not shutting the door.
He's been asking.
I won't shut the door.
He's been asking.
Let's go.
So,
Is there anything we're looking for? Like, have we let Kuipers just go be a dad, and he didn't have to? He's not going to play
just
the rest
let
of
him
the
go
year.
Be a dad.
Let's be honest.
So
Kuipers is going to be around for the next few years with us.
Of course.
So I think it's one guy that Gregg Berhalter has to keep.
I want to see what we can see out of Kutsias. Right.
I think a lot of guys, based on what I've been hearing, a lot of guys are going to be playing for their contracts on Saturday. That's like the last hurrah.
Do you really think anybody's going to push the needle? I mean, I guess there probably are people on the fence, and that may push the needle, but he probably already has an idea.
Guys, what? Watch. They have a whole season of tape on these guys. You should not put it down to whether or not they do well in this one game and they're running real hard.
Some of these guys might be on the fence. Some guys, some guys have been inconsistent. Like Brian Gutierrez, started the season, he was on fire. Now, not so much.
Well, he's been labeled one of MLS's young players along with Brady. So and the Fire were hyping him up.
Piece.
So that's true.
They could use him as a trade piece.
Yeah.
Hey,
and how much Gamtan would Brian Guti get you? 270.
No. You could get millions on Gutierrez out on the world market.
Millions.
Dude, you could get 7 million for Gutierrez easy. You forget the most valuable commodity is age.
So, if they were doing a fire sale, you could at least get 3 or 4 million from a Liga MX team.
You might be right. He's worth 4 million per transfer market at the moment, for what it's worth.
Okay.
So again, it's. I mean, if Greg has any doubts on who might be on this team, Saturday is a good way to prove him wrong. Again, some of these guys, they're done. Some of these guys might know that they're done because based on what you showed me, Toke, I do see that's gonna happen. I do see that. What was it? He said on the 20th. I mean, I don't want to throw.
Oh well, no, it was just because I was like, hey, I don't really know how ambitious he's gonna be. Super ambitious. A lot of change. So I very much look forward to a lot of change, man. There's really nothing to talk about this game. You know what the whole point of this game is? Go have fun with your friends. Who cares?
Yeah,
right?
This is I guess get all the free stuff you can get, and that's it.
Just get out on a Saturday afternoon and just enjoy yourself type of thing. But the excitement level is sky high because no matter what, we're going to swing for the fences. Joe has money to burn. So even if it's we talked about it with Pogba, if you're going to suck, I would love for it to be phenomenal and just an absolute dumpster fire. Either be good or be a dumpster fire. Don't be this fucking rut of boring and horrificness that we've experienced for years. You know what I mean? Be exciting at least. Be a massive bust instead of boring.
And keep in mind, this is going to be a different version of Greg that we're going to get because we're actually going to get a Greg that has a treasure chest of money. He's not using a piggy bank. He's going to be using a treasure chest or a Brinks truck full of cash behind him. So,
and he is he's just pretentious enough to think he could land all those huge players too.
You know what?
We might convince 1 or 2 people. It might be crazy.
Hey, my name is Gregg Berhalter. You might have heard me from my time.
You might have heard of me from such things as the U.S. men's national team.
And Columbus Crew.
I'm Gregg Berhalter. You might remember me from such things as Torsten Frings blocking my shot and coaching the Columbus Crew.
How would you like to play for the Chicago Fire?
No.
What's it gonna take? Here's a piece of paper. Write the number. Write your number.
Yeah, write your number down. That's the thing. Like, we do have to overpay. Like, when you're in a bad spot, you have to overpay for people, but it's just, there's hope. There's hope of, like, interest. Like, it's at least going to be interesting. Like, I really don't feel like they're going to sign a bunch of people we've never heard of and 3 guys from fucking Lugano. Like, eventually we're going to start getting our own players back from Lugano if we keep doing this shit.
I got a question. So, considering that Gregg is obviously going to be shopping around for players, do you think he's going to be shopping around MLS, Latin America, Europe? I mean, maybe even Africa. I mean, I don't know. Maybe even Africa?
No, he's going to go with what he knows. So, in all seriousness, you're going to still see, like, Swiss shit. You're going to see, like northern kind of, like, not quite Eastern European
so
stuff.
Scandinavia.
And then you're going to see
Scandinavia, yeah.
You're going to see Scandinavian stuff, and then you're going to see U.S. players playing other places, and then you're going to see MLS guys. That's going to be the core. Now,
and we're going to see mixed Discaru.
Oh, my God, if only.
I think he's out of the game already.
Oh, yeah, he's done. But, when you have hair like that, you can do anything you want. Anyway, I digress. My whole thing is this. Like, I did hear a few people kind of, like, hand-wringing, like, why do we keep talking about just U.S. guys? Why are we closing in our search? And as dumb as it sounds, like, how they always try and get, like, a Polish player or a Mexican player on the Fire to try and appease people? Well, like...
We've done that, and it has failed miserably.
Well,
except for that cat.
Well, yeah, but I want that too, right? Like, I want, like, a U.S. Like, I would love a mix of players on this team. I would love a U.S. guy or two.
Yeah.
I like an actual fringe or actual member of the U.S. team. 1 or 2 of those guys. I'd like, a young up and coming Mexican talent. I'd like a big mix of players on this team. It would be nice.
So one thing I kind of want to bring up too is going into the whole same train of thought of, like, signing players. Let's be honest here. This is before Gregg's time. We did really good with John Duran.
Yeah, I mean, was he playing in Colombia or was he playing? He was playing in
Colombia.
Brazil?
He was playing in Colombia. The Fire signed him, and
that's just trusting their scouts.
Well, don't forget, MLS has kind of gotten a pipeline open to Argentina and Colombia and some of those places.
Well, and that's another thing too. Is like he might have been like the prototype of, hey, sign with MLS team, you can go to Europe. Look what we did with John Duran. The guy's playing out in Aston Villa, and he's
Well, I think for most of the existence of Major League Soccer, we've all told ourselves that we could be that league. And I think we're actually finally that league. Like, not that we're that much better than... No. Like, we are now ranked higher than any other league in North America except for Brazil. And with that said, like, honestly, like, it's not even the talent. Like, Liga MX is probably a better league talent-wise, top to bottom.
But they don't send players to Europe like MLS.
But that's the thing. We've got more connections.
Yeah.
Like, we have more connections. Like, I know it sounds dumb, but, like, an English-based speaking league, right, has a pipeline to the championship and to the English Premier League again because everybody's speaking English. That's why you saw a lot of Mexican talent go to La Liga, right? But we just seem to have a lot more connections now. So these guys are seeing Major League. They are finally seeing Major League Soccer the way we pretended we were, which is that springboard to Europe.
And the thing is that the Fire. We're kind of they're in that front row of that, because what we did with John Duran, what makes you think that they're not going to be using that as a way to motivate players from Latin America, from Argentina, from Colombia, from Chile? They're going to be like, hey, look what we did with John Duran.
And now we have a better coach.
And now we have a better coach. Imagine what that could happen to you if you play your ass off for the Chicago Fire. You could be the next John Duran in Europe or wherever.
I know, but I mean, we say that, but it's not a science, man. Look at Atlanta; they got it right at first, and then Ezekiel Barco never really materialized. Pity Martinez hit a brick wall. Like it. I mean, it's not an exact science, but
It's
that's
not
why
exact science, but the fire made it count. The fire aimed, and they took their shot, and hey, it worked out for them.
I think the Fire as an organization's connections with the South American leagues and a little bit of that, Swiss area, along with Gregg's connections to Scandinavia and just U.S. based players or U.S. players, is going to be a big deal. I try not to be quite so cynical. Being a fan of this team for so long has got me thinking of all the horrible things about Gregg. But like, it could work. This could all actually work. You know what I mean?
Keep in mind, this is. I mean, you have to kind of separate between national team and club, because Gregg is coaching a club team now, not the national team. And I get it. People have that bad taste in their mouth from what he did with the national team, and I get it.
Well,
I mean, he didn't.
Wasn't before we kind of got all pissy with him, wasn't the thought, like, didn't he try to implement a system and then he said, I can't do it on a national team level, and slightly dumbed it down? And then that's the thing that we've been mad at this whole time. So maybe if you don't have to, maybe you're right. Maybe a club setup is
some coaches, they're club coaches. Some coaches are national team coaches. Sometimes one or the other might not work. So, maybe Gregg is mostly a club coach. I mean, granted, he did fairly well in his first stint as a U.S. men's national team coach. But hey, you know what? Gregg Berhalter is probably one of the much better choices that we did and we chose for this club. I mean, we could have gone. Hey,
we could have gone Caleb Porter. We could have done another unknown.
First time former assistant coach type of situation.
We could have promoted Nagamura. Then promoted Frank.
Oh God,
Frank Klopas
0.20. We could have tried to get the guy from Colorado.
Well, Chris
Armas back.
And Chris Armas wanted to coach this team. I asked him in that whole anniversary thing. I asked him, like, hey, would you ever coach the Fire? He's like, I will love to coach the Fire.
Okay, that's neither here nor there, though. I got a question for you boys.
Yeah.
About Triple G and where he stands in the parlance of MLS coaching. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, like, wow, we might actually have a top 5 MLS coach here in Triple G upon arrival, which feels like for the first time in a long time. And who is the top? Wilfred Nancy, maybe Jim Curtin.
Wilfred Nancy.
And then in Triple G, you might put over
Tata.
I'm putting Triple G over Tata, Peter Vermees, Gerard Martin, Tata, Phil Neville, Brian Schmetzer, Greg Vanny.
Why would you say Peter Vermees, man?
Because these are the top 10 highest paid coaches in the MLS. Wilfred Nancy, Luchi Gonzalez, Pablo Mastroeni. Well, Luchi Gonzalez is gone now. Pablo Mastroeni's gone now. No, Pablo's still there. Pablo Mastroeni, Ben Olsen, Oscar Pereira, Caleb Porter, Greg Vanny, Brian Schmetzer, Jim
Neville's still around?
Some of these.
Coaching?
This was last year. This is from This is June 10th, 2024. So people might have been fired.
Phil Neville got fired.
But these are the highest paid coaches, and to me, Triple G, I'll pay a lot more for Triple G than any of these coaches outside of Wilfred Nancy, right?
Well, I'll say this: if you're being serious, like, the guy in San Jose has a lot of upside, but we're not sure what that's going to look like. But I feel like we've said that about like their last 6 coaches, but I'll backtrack. The number one is Wilfred Nancy with number one with a bullet, right?
Yeah.
Jim Curtin, I would put. See, that's where we start getting into this mosh pit of like, who, Jim Curtin or Gregg Berhalter. Gregg Berhalter has been more ambitious in his career and has gotten higher jobs, but has he really been better? Is the question. And then the other question, and the big question mark, is we are still very early in the Steve Cherundolo experience. The Steve Cherundolo today does not look as good of a coach as Triple G, but what happens 2 years from now?
It depends.
Football changes quick, man.
It depends. I mean, Gregg Berhalter he could probably turn this club around, and we might be like opposites of where we were now.
Yeah, you're right. We could be like, oh, Gregg Berhalter is the greatest coach ever. Why did we run him out of town and for the U.S.? Yada yada. Yeah.
Like we could be like 2 years from now, we could be like the Fire might be one of the top 5 teams in MLS. I mean, that's a possibility. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. It's a possibility. Wherever
I still expect playoffs next year.
I'm not expecting them just because this is his first year. You don't get everyone you want on the first year.
Doesn't
You don't
matter,
get
dude.
it does matter.
You can start the season with like 5 losses and 1 win and still end up like in 5th place.
So
you know what I mean? Like
if the Fire finish 10th or 9th and they make it to that single game knockout, is that going to mean accomplishment for you?
Yes, that will be some step forward. Correct.
Okay,
It's the first year.
Because honestly,
yes,
for
first year I expect 9th place. I do.
Okay,
or better.
Because honestly, that will probably be to me. It'll be kind of like a waste of time. Because let's be honest here. We go into the single game
waste of time.
element.
I'd say all the things leading up to this was a waste of time. This is now building on something, so it's not a waste of time to me per se.
Well, no, but I mean in terms of accomplishments.
Okay.
Because that's like you're kind of scraping at the bottom for that for in the 9th, 8th place.
Well, how are we supposed to get
unless
there? Unless
you win it. Unless you win it.
How can we get to the top if we don't start putting bricks up though? We got to get those bricks up.
I think gotta make the playoffs year 1.
I think what Toke wants is for us to kind of get in the mix of like playoff spots. I'm talking about not just 8th or 9th. He might be referring to like 7th, 6th, maybe even
anywhere between 7th and 9th. I will consider a very successful season.
I mean, I think if you get to 7th, I think at that point it's
because
okay.
you could. That's the thing about it is there should be no reason whatsoever on planet Earth we don't go into the season with all 3 DPs and our young DP and all our TAM spots done. Meaning, even if they're not gelling at the beginning of the season, there should be no reason you can't recover. We've seen teams start off complete stinkers and run and like end up,
So we're gonna have a different look on this team next season for sure. I don't, I'm not expecting some of these guys to stick around. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking a quarter of this team might be gone next season. And
I
the thing
think
is that
50% of this team's gone.
I'm hoping 50.
40.
I'm hoping 50%.
40.
I'm hoping like 40, 50% of this team is gone and we have new faces. The thing is that for the past 5 years, ever since Mansueto bought this team, we have been burning money left and right on trash. Like
who cares?
No, hold on. But what I'm saying is that we're gonna get that money. We're gonna maybe this time we actually might be getting something good for our return.
Exactly.
So, we're actually having someone that's might have a much more. And keep in mind, he's not only the sporting director; he's the head coach. So he's gonna find players that are gonna fit his system. He's not gonna have to negotiate.
There won't be any confusion about whether they fit the system or not.
There won't be like a middleman. Like, hey, we need a holding midfielder. Okay, the GM buys some random guy that plays in first division Slovakia, which from our experience hasn't really worked out, or Lithuania or wherever. So we're gonna have a guy that's basically gonna take his money, go look for players, build up his team. He's basically gonna be living out Football Manager. So there you go.
That's why I say you got to finish 9th, man. Because even with a slow start, you could do it. James, what are your expectations?
Mike, they can make the playoffs. If they don't, I'll be sad. It won't kind of make sense, but as long as they make the playoffs, I think that's going to be great. If they get knocked out in the first run, that just gets me excited for next year for them to get better. They have something to build on. They have something to look for. They have okay, we got here. Let's get that much further and better and beyond.
And that's key right there. What you just mentioned, that's
set the stage for success.
Something to build on. Like let's say the Fire go on a Cinderella run. Let's say by some miracle, some act of God, we get to like semis or something like that, or we have like a Cinderella run. We lose. We need to build on that. We cannot go like 2017, where we actually had a really good season and then we just let it go to crap the next season.
See, they didn't
Well,
build
yeah,
off
I mean,
that.
well,
They built it up and then did not build off of that, and they didn't have the people.
No,
they didn't have the
they did not
horses in
build.
charge. In
Nelson Rodriguez stripped that team.
And so
He's
finally we have the guy in charge who not only can build it up to that, but then can go the next
he has
step
the financial
after that.
backing too. He has the financial backing. Imagine if this team was ran in 2017 by a different GM, a different owner, a different coach.
I said, what if we had Triple G in 2017? It would be so much more different because they would be able to build off of that success. They would have built off of that success.
We would probably be in one of the elites at this point.
Yes, and that's
You're
the
not
thing
wrong.
about DPG. That's 7 years later. You're talking about the elites. This is going to take a long time to get to that point.
It is.
A long
I'm
time.
not asking for elites. I'm saying in a league where 9 teams make the playoffs. To tell me you're going in the right direction, and after all of this,
I don't think it's
going to
take. I don't think it's going to take as long as it took Jim Curtin with Philadelphia.
No, I mean he had to do that with the. He took a bunch of 8-year-olds. They're like, okay, in 8 years, I've got my starting lineup. Like,
there you go.
They do everything in the academy. That's it. I mean,
we don't have money to spend, so
he calls the Aronson family and he's like, "Okay, you guys,
who else you got?
You guys got to get drunk tonight. We need more players." Like, but
so now,
go on.
I mean, it is an exciting time, especially as a Fire player, as a Fire fan, maybe even a player. Because at this point, let's be honest here. Right now, we're kind of rock bottom. We're literally rock bottom. Last in the division. We're about to clean house. And this is probably the most exciting part of the season. And I always said this before. The off season after a bad season is always the best part of the season.
And
always
the most. Yeah, I'm the most
it's
excited
always
I've
the
ever
most
been.
fun, except for when it's not. When most of the time it's us sitting around until deadline day going, "Are you going to sign anybody?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll just sign a bunch of bums that are on free contracts."
Let's just sign Tom Barlow. Yeah, let's just sign Tom Barlow.
We're just going to trade for Tom Barlow, dog.
But before we get to the MLS offseason, we still have to get through the MLS postseason. I had a quick question for you guys here before we end the podcast because we're getting a little long here in the tooth. Who are your predictions, your cup prediction, and give me also your dark horse? And you could give one for Eastern Conference and Western Conference. I'll lead the way. I mean, Inter Miami is the easy favorite. I'm giving them my cup favorite. My dark horse, Cincinnati.
Damn, James, why'd you steal my entire answer? Yeah, I got LA Galaxy versus Miami, and Miami taking it. And for me, the two the watch your ass teams. Cincinnati was the first one I went to, but you know who's another good one to think about is Real Salt Lake is having a much better season than anyone over there deserves. And Colorado also is just like crazy enough that they could knock some people off. They're like an any given Saturday kind of team.
You know what? Colorado reminds me of the team that has a lot of misfits, like a lot of like throwaway toys. Like you got Jordy in there, you got Chris Armas coaching it. You know, who else was there?
Reggie Cannon.
Oh my God,
Sam Vines.
Sam Vines.
Jeez, a lot of throwaways, right?
Yup.
It's like they got pissed off and said, you know what, we're going all the way this year.
Keegan Rosenberry, Reggie Cannon.
God, Rosenberry, did they always have him or did he come from Philly?
Jonathan Lewis.
He came from Philly.
Mihailovic.
Okay. Yeah, they got that's Colorado Rapids too, the Electric Boogaloo, man. It's the Second Chance Hotel.
If you want a place to revive your career, have you looked at Colorado?
Life Support FC.
Second chances.
So who'd you have, DPG? Did I interrupt?
Oh
you?
Man, okay. It's kind of hard not to argue Miami. So Miami's gonna win the cup. Eastern Conference dark horse. This is just Eastern Conference here. I don't know why. Orlando might be a dark horse in this.
Are they even in the playoff picture?
They're fourth. They're fourth.
They're
They're
fourth.
sneakily fourth.
Jesus.
They score goals
too. Quietest team in the league.
They score goals, so.
And then on the Western side, LAFC is going to win the Western
Yeah,
Conference.
I think LAFC. I agree there. That's my pick too.
The dark horse will probably be Seattle trying to make a comeback, trying to stay relevant.
I got three words for you, boys. They just got a hockey team, Real Salt Lake.
Well, are they really called Utah Hockey Team?
For right now.
Or Utah Hockey Club?
For now, yeah.
The most basic name you could think of.
UHC,
That's so
baby.
perfect for the Mormon state.
Yeah, that's
I'm
perfect
into
if
it.
you're a soccer team.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's amazing. So, I mean, what happens if Miami doesn't close the deal?
Damn.
First, it's gonna be a disaster because think about it. Let's think about it here. You got a roster.
question.
You got a roster here with like 4 or 5 guys that have like Champions League final experience, World Cup winner. World Cup winners. Winners. Let me that's right. Correct myself. Winners. So you have guys that have been like probably the worst amount of pressure of all time.
And if they get worked by Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh man.
That's exactly my
man.
They're gonna get punked out. They're gonna get punked out by some MLS draft pick that played in UConn, and there was the 5th pick of 2022 or something like that.
Oh God. I don't know.
Nope.
Would it be a disaster? I mean, they've won the Shield. I think they can break the points record this weekend. Like they've delighted millions. Like, is it the end of the world if they don't cross the finish line? Because from the marketing,
right?
From the marketing materials that you're starting to feel here, and the fact that they're getting 2 new kits next year, I feel like Messi's sticking around.
I think he's gonna stick around for one more season. Now, granted, if they win it, kind of makes you wonder.
All bets are off. If they win it, all bets are off.
All bets are off. Like that, I think he might just take his trophy and go home.
Wow, you think if he wins it, it might be the end of Messi?
Maybe,
I think it might be the end of.
Have a US
You don't
Open
think
Cup.
time of no. Here's where you're wrong. Let me make the narrative for you. It's got to be Messi. Messi has to win this one because it sets up his first three-peat. And you know who Leo Messi loves? Michael fucking Jeffrey Jordan. And he wants his own three-peat.
He wants his own like legacy and the US. Like
he's like I have a three-peat in America too, Michael.
Well, he's doing everything I've ever wanted a DP to do when they come to America. Most of them come and like, well, I'm gonna this team compete.
Well, let's
he
be
came
honest
and said,
here.
let's win some goddamn trophies.
Well,
that's what I do.
We're talking about Messi here. We're talking about Sean Maloney, right? This is Messi. All right, this man has won a World Cup, has been in countless like Champions League final. Like
yeah, but like Lothar Matthäus came to this league, dude. Like there's a lot of people who came for a paycheck.
Lothar Matthäus came to this league when this league had like a very gimmicky look to it.
You're not wrong.
He came.
I'm pretty sure he was a Metro star.
He was a Metro star. You know what? So a couple of years ago, for whatever reason, I used to go to this. They have like this Metro. Well, I guess Red Bull Metro / Red Bull fan site, and they keep track of records of all like from Metro stars to what the up until now. And bro, like some of the stories you read on that thing from the early days of the Metro stars, wow. I think there was one story where they said that the GM literally signed some guy he signed a player that he met in the airport. Just because he had a conversation. That's how bad it was.
Oh, no. This league has come a long way. It's ninth in the world.
It's come a long way from signing people at the airport. From practicing in the parking lots of stadiums. LA Galaxy started off practicing in the parking lot because they didn't have any training fields.
Right. All right, so I got one more question before we let the people go here.
It was Metro signed Gilmar. Nick Sakevich was the GM of the Mutiny when Gilmar was in Tampa. Ran into his former player at an airport, leading to the potential signing.
That's a little bit less of a clown show, but still. Still not great. Still not great.
It's and they even have stories about how back in the day when MLS Super Draft was like a thing. I guess those early MLS Super Drafts actually had a lot of good talent.
Yeah, duh. I mean, Brian McBride, right?
Yeah, Brian McBride.
I mean, it used to be everybody. Clint Dempsey went to college.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody used to go to college.
I think the cutoff was like after maybe in their mid 2010s. I think that's when MLS Super Draft kind of lost.
Oh, that's when it fell off. Yeah, I remember, dude. I remember being at work and like having a little window on my computer watching the Super Draft like it was something important, dude. Like I say I'm an MLS
sicko, and then I stopped. Oh man.
Yeah, when I tell you I'm an MLS sicko, I'm a motherfucking sicko.
I think I watched the one where we drafted Jack Harrison and then we
shook up the soccer world.
Shook up the soccer world. We ended up getting Brandon Vincent.
I watched that one too.
Who did we get? Brandon Vincent and Matt Polster?
Yep. I think we got Brandon Vincent and James Barcoro.
Oh yeah, Jiggly loved that guy.
John
Barco, who was the son of some other soccer player who was okay at soccer.
Was it
former La Masia? I think he might have played.
His last name was. We ended up selling him to Toronto.
Yeah,
I think we ended up sending him to Toronto.
Yeah,
he wasn't that good.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the son of a famous. Yeah, but I mean, hey. Imagine if we were a better team, Brandon Vincent would have stuck around with us, and for all we know, he could have been the left back of the future for the
Brandon
USMNT.
Vincent realized he wasn't good enough.
Well, how funny would it be if like we're having these conversations like, man, if only like Jedi.
Brandon Vincent is not changing the trajectory of the Chicago Fire.
No, I mean he was good. I don't know.
He was good that first season. That first season he was good, but I think his mind was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well,
yeah, finances.
As most people on the Fire's mind are. It's just anywhere else.
But like it's I don't know. I mean it's a mixed bag, guys. It's where we're at now as a league to what we were 20 years ago.
Big change. We got Leo Messi here.
We got Leo Messi 20 almost 25 years ago. We were at the verge of bankruptcy.
Olivier Giroud.
We were about to fold.
Yeah, I wasn't around during those days. Like I'll be honest, I did watch some stuff in the early days. Like I saw the first couple like championship game, like the 96, 97. I think, yeah, I saw a couple championship games. I saw a couple playoff games. That was about it, right? I didn't live in a market that had a team, right? Yeah. So I didn't really fall in love with Major League Soccer until 2007.
Oh, I was here right when Chicago Fire moved in. I was playing soccer. And I was like, we finally got our own team. It's awesome.
It's just for me in the early years, it's because early 2000s was like my high school years. At that time, MLS looked so gimmicky compared to like Europe.
It was.
Because, Europe had like...
It was
so gimmicky. You had funny names, Tampa Bay Mutiny, Metro Star.
I never minded that, though. Yeah.
Did Don Garber save this league? Does he deserve anything other than the disgust he gets?
I think
he's not Gary Bettman, that's for sure.
So I think
Gary Bettman's awesome.
Don Garber's gonna have his place in history. I'll give him that. He made this league survive and got it to a point where it's at now. I think whoever takes over after him, and whether or not this individual is gonna implement, I don't think it's gonna happen.
We need a reform party to come in. We don't need another.
Or they're gonna get rid of.
It's gonna be Nelson fucking Rodriguez, guys.
You're right. It will.
Oh man.
I mean, honestly, you're not wrong.
The heir apparent right now.
And he's going to have it out for us, bro. He's going to say, hey, Fire fans, remember all those times you made fun of me?
No, he's going to have it out for fucking soccer. He's going to be like, oh my God. It's you're right. He's going to come to our homes and wreck up the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Anyway.
With two other guys.
Once we bring Baba Yaga up, I think we're done.
Yeah. All right, boys. All right, we're going to shut it down here, guys. Thanks for hanging out and watching the show. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next time where we put out a new show every week here on YouTube. And the MLS offseason is fast approaching, and we have some excitement to look forward to with playoffs, U.S. men's national team stuff, and finally we have a fun little coach. So we got some stuff to look forward to here at Enemies of the Fire, boys. Next time, later. take that like button, punt it.
James, what if they were so inclined? Should they do with the like button?
This time, probably pick it up in your hands. Don't worry. Play stop. We talked to the ref. Ref blew his whistle. He's waiting on you. Inspect the ball. Dust it off. Get that blade of grass right. Set the ball down. Go into your zen zone. Look the goalkeeper dead in the eyes, like you fucked his mother. Back the ball. Back up. And even though it's your son you're shooting on, bury that ball into the upper 90. And make sure you hit that like button along the way and be right back here on Enemies of the Fire.